Hey everyone, it's Rajal here. Thank you so much for all your comments and your requests for all the content that you'd like to see. This is the first of many, I hope, so please excuse me if there are a little bit of or a few bloopers or anything. But I know time is sensitive, so if you've got a sick Vanda or a new Vanda that you've got which just doesn't look very good with roots, so let's start. This is a Staurochilus fasciatus, and it's similar to the Vanda family where it's a monopodial, so it just grows in one direction. And same thing, it's got a couple of roots. I bought this just very recently because I love the flower of it, and as you can see there's a couple of flowers here, but only 2 roots for a plant this size. So in order to show you how to try and revive it or encourage more root growth, I had already started with this. I've taken it out of the contraption that I had made just so that I could show you what I do or what I would do. So first and foremost, sterilize one of your cutting equipments with hydrogen peroxide. It's available everywhere in Carrefour and kiosks. It's available everywhere. So once you've sterilized your cutting equipment, cut off the flower spikes. And the reason is because you want all the energy to be used so that the plant becomes healthy. So you want more root growth, you want more foliage growth. What happens when a flower spike comes up, the plant devotes all its energy towards the flower spike, and unfortunately then there's sometimes possibility that the rest of the plant doesn't get any of the nutrients and then shrivels up and dies if there's no new roots. Now I don't know if you can see, but you can see there's a lot of mechanical damage to this plant and quite a lot of dehydration as well. And that's because if you look at the whole plant, there's only 2 roots here. Let me get rid of this tag so that you can see it better. Sorry, that's my plant label. So if you can see, there's only 2 roots for a plant like this. Now, when a plant like this has only 2 roots, there is severe this plant can suffer from bacterial infections, viral infections. Its immunity is low. So we really need to try and boost this plant up so that we can make it just grow a little bit better and we can get some root growth. So once you've cut off all the flower stems, wherever you've done a cut, spray with hydrogen peroxide to seal the wound. You don't want more bacteria and more pathogens entering from the areas you've cut. You can either spray hydrogen peroxide or just take a little bit of cinnamon and dab it on the places that you've cut. Now, what I like doing is I like recycling, and I also like using up stuff that's just lying around. So with this particular one, what I did was I had some greenhouse shade netting that had broken and torn and that I had changed. So I've taken a big piece of that, or a piece like this, and then what I did was I got some leftover, some used sphagnum moss, and sorry, let me tilt this, some used up sphagnum moss and bark. And what I did was I just made a little packet like this. Okay, I just turned it into a little bit of a Swiss roll, and then what I did, I put it at the bottom of a used Ziploc bag. I'd used it in the kitchen, and then obviously didn't have a second use for it. Well, I do have a second use for it, and I put it in this Ziploc bag. Now I love this Feigenbag method because I think it works really well. You know, it allows the water to stay in there, the humidity to stay in there. And the beauty is that I just punch a few holes in the bag and it allows all the excess water to drain out, you know. So you never have water just standing in there. So totally drench the moss and the bark. I put it in there. Now if you don't have any shade netting left over, or you don't have a greenhouse to have shade netting, it's fine. You can also use, you know, the net which the onions or our vegetables come in. You can use that, and actually those are quite good because they're a bag already. So you just put it in there and then you know, have a package. And then all I did was I then placed this on top I just placed it on top of. Now just be careful when you're putting your plant in the bag, make sure you've totally wet the plant so that your roots are a bit more pliable, and then just let it stand on top of the net. And then I've closed the bag. Now the reason for that is so that the humidity stays within the bag, and every so often I'll just open the bag, drench it with water, and then close it so that the humidity stays in there. Now this can either go in a little tray like this and stand upright, you know, just stand upright like that, against a wall at the bottom of the shelves, you know, not too much sunlight but just enough. Or it can just stand on its own, or the other thing that we do is just take a piece of wire, poke it through, and then just hang it where our other vandas are, just like that. So it gets the same tolerance, light levels that the other vandas do, and then that's how we do that. Now I just wanted to show you, not everyone likes Ziploc bags and plastic, everyone's trying to get away. The other thing we do is a used oil bottle or quencher, any of those. I've just cut it like that, and you'd basically put that same packet at the bottom of it. You'd make some holes with a hot screw or a hot knife. You'll make some holes at the bottom to create the drainage. Put that in there. You can just either hang your orchid depending on how the roots go in. My root doesn't go in here, so what I would do is I would hang it like that on top, and I would fill the bark up till here, till the top, and then I would just take some wool. Now I use wool because it's soft, it's not degradable, so even if I had to leave this here for a year, it won't just fall off or anything, and it's really soft, so even if there was a root growing or a leaf growing, you know, it would allow it to pass through, you know, without damaging any other part of the plant. This is the way that I would save my vandas, and I hope that helps. Now also have patience, it won't just happen overnight. It'll probably take about 2 to 3 months before you see any roots growing. I have a few nodes that I can see kind of coming up, you know, so I'm quite excited. I don't know if you can see there, so I'm quite excited. So I'm going to return it. There we are, there's a node there. So I'm quite excited, and this new growth has started kind of after I had done it. I'll try and post some pictures of the plant beforehand, but I think it's doing well and it's recovered well, so I can't wait to see how else it grows. Hope this helps. The other thing I wanted to show you was the new root tip that started since we've started this process of trying to revive this plant. So this is a new root tip that's managed to grow. I mean, you can see originally we would have cut this off because it looks like it's dying here, but we left it and it's kind of growing a whole new root. And then also the other thing is that when you kind of swag and bag it, or even use the recycling project that we used, just make sure you stake it up so that even if this bag falls or you're moving it or whatever, you don't damage the new root tip, because they are so fragile and so tender that even a little movement can damage them. So just make sure you keep it upright or stable in the bag. And then what my very able assistant Maura did was he put a little wire across the bag like this, and then tied the stake around it so that it wouldn't move, and then tied the plant with the stake. So I'll try and show you a few photos of it once I stake it up properly, or he does it for me better. But yeah, we're hoping that these tips help. And here's another new root tip starting. So hope we can all save our plants. Good luck.